My name is Amelia Harper, and I'm 42 years old. I've been married to my husband, Ethan, for 16 years. Ethan has a daughter, Carol, from his previous marriage. When we got married, she was just a newborn baby. But now that she's 16, is in her teenage phase. That sweet and adorable child is nowhere to be found. She's become aggressive.
Hey, I'm out of allowance, so give me more.
At first, it started with small complaints. Why? I just gave you your allowance the other day.
Because there's so much stuff I want, and it's not enough.
Money doesn't just fall from the sky. You need to think about how to make your allowance last until the next one. Carol is now a 16-year-old high schooler. Her school prohibits part-time jobs, so we give her an allowance. But I thought that giving her an allowance could be a chance to teach her how to manage money and understand its value. However, her spending habits never improved. And then, one day, it happened. I came home from work as usual when suddenly the house phone rang. It was the police. They told me that Carol had been caught shoplifting at a grocery store. After apologizing to the store manager and paying for the items, I confronted Carol when we got home, trying to address the issue as her parent. Why would you shoplift? Taking things without paying for them is a crime. But her response shocked me.
It's your fault.
What?
You didn't give me any money, no matter how many times I asked.
That's not true, is it? Haven't I told you over and over? Money doesn't just appear out of nowhere. I've been telling you every month to think about how to make your allowance last.
Everyone else gets way more than me. I'm the only one with such a small allowance. And now I'm being left out by my friends.
That's what I'm trying to explain. Each family has its own circumstances, and you have to make do with what you're given. And if your friends exclude you just because your allowance is small, they're not real friends. True friends would understand your situation.
Shut up!
What?
Go earn more money. If all you do is take, you might as well leave.
I was being treated like an ATM by my daughter. She glared at me with a fierce expression. Even I was shocked by her attitude this time. But there was another issue.
Silent.
My husband, sitting silently, didn't bother to scold her and just kept reading the newspaper. I knew why Ethan was so indifferent. A few nights ago, I went downstairs to the living room to get a glass of water because I was thirsty. I overheard him whispering to someone.
I can't wait to marry Rachel. I know things are tough with my teenage daughter right now. I'll find a way to push my wife into handling it and then file for divorce.
What is this about? Is he talking to his mistress? Those words echoed in my mind. Hearing Ethan's whispered conversation sent a shock through my entire body. From that night on, he kept sneaking out of our bedroom late at night to make calls. I was certain he was cheating. Hey, say something. Tell her what she's doing is wrong.
Why should I? That's a mom's job.
What do you mean? A mom's job parenting is something both parents do together.
Men work outside, women take care of the home. That's how it's supposed to be.
Excuse me? This isn't the mid-20th century. Statements like a mom's job or men work outside make no sense. And another thought crossed my mind. Seriously, Carol is your daughter from your previous marriage.
See? Dad says it's the mom's job. If you'd just given me the right amount of allowance, I wouldn't have shoplifted. This is your fault.
That was the final straw for me. After 16 years of putting up with this, I had reached my limit.
Listen, just make sure you give me more allowance next month.
Carol, who has never earned her own money, still dared to talk down to me. Enough is enough. Even though I was seething inside, I kept my cool and said calmly, "All right, I get it. But since we're on the topic, let me tell you something. You're not my child or your dad's child."
What?
I revealed the secret I'd kept for 16 years. That's why I had no obligation to give you any allowance.
What are you saying?
I added more to the shocked girl. I've kept quiet all this time, but I'm not your real mom.
Wait.
My unfaithful husband, who had been reading the newspaper indifferently, was now visibly startled. "You haven't told Carol yet. You said you'd explain it to her yourself once she started high school, didn't you?"
Silent.
"Well, since this was a remarriage with a stepchild, wasn't it your job to tell her?" I threw his own words back at him, and he looked awkward and remained silent. Honestly, I think it's because of his attitude that Carol turned out this way. When I married him, Carol was just a newborn baby. I thought we could become like a real parent and child. But as the saying goes, children grow by watching their parents. And true to the adage, Carol grew up emulating her father, not me. Despite his indifference to parenting and constantly pushing it onto me, he still talks as if he's the authority. Carol saw him treating me like this every single day. So naturally, she thought it was acceptable.
What do you mean? Neither dad nor mom are my real parents.
That's what I've been saying, isn't it?
No way. Why didn't you tell me sooner?
Ask your dad.
What?
Your dad told me to keep quiet about it until you were in high school. You're his stepchild from his previous marriage. Right, Ethan?
Silent.
Even now, Ethan stayed silent. He probably didn't want to stir up unnecessary trouble, given his affair and Carol's recent behavior. He seemed to be hoping to fade into the background and dump everything on me while escaping, but I wasn't going to let that happen. When we were dating, I knew he was divorced and had a child, a newborn no less, and I understood the situation and committed to it. But I never signed up to have parenting dumped on me or to be betrayed by his infidelity. I've had enough of my husband, and my feelings for him have gone cold. At one point, I thought of Carol as my own daughter. However, while she resembles her father more and more, her attitude toward me has become increasingly violent. Watching her behave that way, my feelings of love for her gradually faded away. If I looked at these two now, I couldn't see them as family anymore. If you won't explain, I'll do it. When your dad married me, he brought you with him. That's not unusual in a remarriage with a stepchild. But the truth is, you and your dad aren't biologically related.
What? Then why was I with him?
Your dad's ex-wife, your biological mother, was having an affair, and you were born as a result of that. You're what they call a cuckoo's child.
A cuckoo's child. Like what people talk about these days.
Your dad only found out after your mom left. That's why he couldn't abandon you. He remarried and raised you like his own. And I understood that when I married him.
Where is my real mom now?
No idea. She's out of touch and hasn't been heard from since. Ethan and Carol were not biologically related. I knew this during our relationship, and I accepted it. His ex-wife had a bad reputation with men, and the real father of the child was unknown. Yet, somehow, Ethan and Carol seemed so similar. It was shocking. Over time, we seemed to have become a real family, or so I thought. I'd heard people say that blood ties don't matter, but clearly, that didn't apply to us. Carol looked genuinely shaken, unable to believe what she was hearing. Under normal circumstances, spending 16 years together should have created a deep bond. But after all the coldness and cruelty from these two, my love for them had completely faded. I understood the situation and married your dad because I loved him. But lately, he acts like you're someone else's problem. And you, his stepchild, have been pushing all the responsibility onto me. It's just too much. I tried to raise you like my own daughter, but what's with your recent behavior? Calling me a stupid old hag is one thing, but telling me to go make money or saying if all you do is eat, then get out. Who do you think you are? And then there's your complaints about my cooking being bad or me not earning enough. You need to stop. You treat me like an ATM and think of me as nothing more than a servant, don't you? Well, guess what? It's ridiculous for me to continue raising someone like you who isn't even my biological child. So I'm done being a wife and mother in this house. I'm divorcing your dad. Looking back, Ethan's cold words started from the beginning. He was kind during our courtship, but that was just to win me over as a divorced man with a child. The moment we got married, his words and actions changed. But back then, I was too overwhelmed with raising his child to pay attention to his behavior. Lately, most of the issues with Carol have been about her allowance. But it wasn't always like that. In daycare, she injured her friends and made her teachers cry. In elementary school, she became the class bully and caused constant problems. In middle school, I got calls about her involvement in bullying and even caught her smoking on the street, which led to her being taken in by the police.
I don't take orders from you. You're just supposed to listen to whatever your daughter says.
No matter how much I tried to teach her, she never listened. And until she became a high schooler, Ethan was completely uninterested and never helped.
Women understand girls better, right? I'm working late again today, so you handle Carol.
He used "I'm a man, I don't understand these things" as an excuse for everything. He even lied about working late just to come home after me on purpose. I got married and became a mother to be happy, not to become a servant, or worse, a slave to these two. I never complained before, but now my anger had reached its limit.
What the hell are you saying?
What are you even talking about? Divorcing dad and leaving me? That's hilarious.
Carol, stop it.
Because you're not my kid.
Excuse me? Stupid old hag.
Carol, stop it right now, I said.
Good luck managing without me from now on. You two can try to make it work, assuming you can earn enough to survive.
What do you mean? Both mom and dad work, don't they? Even if mom's gone, dad still has money.
Yeah, we both worked, but who do you think was keeping this household afloat? It wasn't your dad, it was my paycheck. So starting tomorrow, your allowance is exactly $0.
Are you serious?
Yes, Ethan's income was lower than mine. It was my earnings that supported this household.
Carol, be quiet. Wait, let's talk about this.
For the first time, my silent husband actually spoke up, clearly panicked. He must have realized how serious I was, and it was throwing him off. Oh, you only speak up when your own neck is on the line.
That's not true.
You're always indifferent when it comes to me or Carol. By the way, Carol, did you know your dad has been cheating on me?
What? How do you know about that?
Cheating?
I'm leaving tomorrow, Carol. You'll be staying here with your dad. But fun fact, your dad was planning to leave us both to marry his mistress and live with her.
You know about that too?
Is that true?
Well, Carol, there's more to it than that.
You might not believe me, but it's the truth. Here's the proof. I pulled out my phone and played the recording.
I can't wait to marry Rachel. I know things are tough with my teenage daughter right now. I'll push everything onto my wife and get the divorce done.
Ethan's face turned pale as he failed to come up with any excuse.
This is unbelievable. A man pushing 50 and having an affair. That's disgusting. I'm leaving with Mom.
Wait, what did you say?
What?
I'm leaving on my own. I have no intention of taking you, someone else's child, with me. Now, sign this divorce paper. I handed Ethan the already prepared divorce papers and started packing my suitcase.
You're serious about this?
Dead serious. Carol is your responsibility. Since she's your child, you take care of her. Oh, and too bad about that remarriage with your mistress. It's not happening. Also, this house is under my name, and I've decided to sell it soon.
What? You didn't tell me that.
No way. Is that true?
Well, I didn't sign up for being dumped with childcare or for your cheating after marriage. You have no right to complain.
No way. I can't take this. I'm leaving with you.
That's not happening. You're still a minor, and you have school, so you'll stay here with your dad.
You old hag. Then at least leave me some money. You're supposed to be my substitute mom. You coward.
Excuse me, I was until now, but starting tomorrow, I'm a stranger to you. Let me spell it out for you. Being a minor means you can't take responsibility for yourself in most situations. That's why you have parent. The money, the school, the stability, you owe all of it to responsible adults. Take a moment to reflect on how you've treated me and stop calling me mom. I'm not anymore. And if you dare call me a stupid old hag again, you'll regret it. The next day, well, actually, I finished packing that night, and as soon as my husband handed me the signed divorce papers, I left the house in the middle of the night. Even as I left, both of them were yelling, but I ignored it. 6 months later, something unexpected happened. While shopping at a department store, I heard a familiar voice. Turning around, I saw Ethan, Carol, and an unfamiliar woman. It had been a while since I'd seen them, so I decided to eavesdrop on their conversation.
Honestly, you really brought me some baggage here, didn't you?
I'm so sorry. This wasn't supposed to happen.
Move faster. You're so slow. It's ridiculous.
Shut up. Don't touch me so casually.
What? How dare you talk to an adult like that, you little brat? Ethan, this is your fault for not disciplining her properly. I'd love to see what her real mother looks like.
Dad, what exactly do you like about this old hag?
You little.
Ouch. Let go of my hair, you witch.
Everyone's staring. Stop it. Just stop it now.
It seemed the unfamiliar woman was the mistress from before. Carol's attitude and foul mouth were still the same, but the mistress's behavior and tone matched hers perfectly. As for Ethan, he was groveling to the mistress and clearly being bossed around. It seemed like his mistress and Carol didn't get along, as they kept arguing the entire time. After Carol snapped back at her, the mistress yanked Carol's hair, which made Carol scream and run off somewhere. Carol's hair and clothes looked messier than I remembered. It made me wonder if Ethan was even taking care of her properly. Then, through the crowd, Ethan and I locked eyes.
Amelia,
Ethan noticed me and started walking over.
Amelia? Wait, are you his ex-wife?
it's been a while. How have you been?
Hello. As you can see, I've been doing well. I had no intention of talking to Ethan, especially since he was with his mistress. Hearing a familiar voice and turning around only to see these three was a disaster. This unplanned encounter immediately soured my mood.
It's been 6 months, hasn't it? I wanted to talk to you, but your phone was disconnected, and I couldn't find you.
Now you want to talk? I don't have anything to say. Shouldn't you be chasing after Carol instead? You're her dad, aren't you?
That's what I wanted to talk about. Carol is the reason I can't remarry. She's making it impossible.
What do you mean? Just remarry with her like you did before.
That's hard to do. So, could you take her back?
The mistress suddenly butted into the conversation.
So, you're Ethan's ex-wife, Amelia.
Yes, and you are?
I'm Rachel, Ethan's girlfriend.
Oh, I see. Are you the one who had an affair with Ethan while we were married?
Yes, that's right. Thanks so much for divorcing him.
Not knowing for sure, I decided to test her. And sure enough, she admitted it. This Rachel, with her heavy makeup and flashy outfit, seemed proud of herself for winning Ethan. Back then, I didn't know what the mistress looked like when I divorced Ethan, but now, seeing her in person and witnessing her smug attitude, I felt a surge of anger bubbling up inside me. No, this was the perfect chance to say what I'd been holding back. Ethan and Rachel both looked like they had something to say, so I decided to start the fight. Oh, don't worry about it. I honestly don't know what you see in that man, but I was fed up with him a long time ago. So thank you for taking him off my hands.
Ethan, you told me you divorced her, didn't you?
Well, I mean,
Oh, you didn't know I was the one who initiated our divorce. Well, I'm grateful to you for taking such a worthless man off my hands.
Wait, this isn't what you told me, Ethan.
Ethan, full of pride, must have claimed he divorced me. Rachel, thinking she had won, now looked visibly upset. Then, narrowing her eyes sharply, she said to me,
Speaking of taking things off someone's hands, I have a favor to ask you as his ex-wife.
"A favor? I can't imagine what his girlfriend would need from me."
Well, since I took Ethan off your hands, you should take Carol back.
Excuse me? That makes no sense.
please, Amelia. Carol is making it impossible for me to remarry.
To my surprise, Rachel, who had taken Ethan, was now saying I should take Carol back. Ethan chimed in, asking me to do it so he could remarry. Why should I, his ex-wife, do that? Carol isn't even my biological child. She's his stepchild from his previous marriage. I don't understand what either of you is saying. Yes, I became a mother to her when I married Ethan, But Carol was his stepchild, not my biological child. Now that we're divorced and the adoption has been annulled, I have neither the obligation nor the right to look after her.
But Carol still won't listen to anything I say.
And she's your child. It's your responsibility to discipline her.
She listened better when you were around. Now I'm at my wit's end.
At your wit's end, parents can't throw up their hands. You're supposed to raise her until she's an adult.
She's so mouthy and rude. She has no manners and she's not cute at all. Nobody told me I'd be stuck with a kid while trying to remarry.
The two of them, nearing 50, were saying such absurd things. If they're thinking about remarrying at this age, they should at least expect that their partner might also have children living with them or not. They're not young, and being remarried with kids means you can't just think about your own happiness. Now that I'm divorced, I'm a stranger to them, and I don't understand why they're dragging me into this. To make it clear to these fools, I spoke up. That child came with you, and you knew she wasn't biologically yours, right? Couldn't you have talked to social services or something?
But that would have been so cruel.
Cruel? I think the life she's living now is much crueler. If you brought her into your life because you felt bad, you should have participated in raising her instead of dumping her on me.
Well, it just seemed too hard. I didn't think I could handle it.
Are you serious? Parenting is hard. That's a given. But just because it's hard doesn't mean you can ignore it. You brought her into your life and then didn't even try to take care of her. Do you know that neglecting a child is a criminal offense?
That's such an exaggeration.
What do you think would have happened if I hadn't been there? If you can't handle raising her, putting her in foster care would have been better for her than this mess.
She's right. You should have done that from the start. I only considered marrying Ethan because I thought the ex-wife would take the kid. Then I find out there's a child. It's like being deceived.
Ethan is bad enough, but Rachel is equally awful. Not caring about someone else's child is just appalling. Rachel, was it? You're no better.
What?
You were planning to marry someone with a child, weren't you? Then you have to include the child in your plans. Saying you won't remarry because of the child, or trying to dump her on the ex-wife. How low can you go? Marrying someone with a child means you become their parent. It's not just about being in love. You need to be ready to become a parent instantly.
Well, I can't do that. I can't love a child who's not biologically mine.
Then you shouldn't marry someone with a child. Kids need parents while they're minors, and if you're going to live with them, you have to raise them, and you're not animals. If you don't want to raise them, wait until they're adults to get married, or just date without tying the knot. There are plenty of ways to handle this.
You're so annoying. Just take her back.
If you're abandoning your child, should I call the police?
Wait, you don't have to go that far.
Don't have to go that far. What happens to the child if you abandon her?
Well, I guess you're right, but
Ethan fell silent when I mentioned calling the police. It's common sense to know neglecting a child is a serious offense. These two only care about their happiness, even if it means abandoning their family and children. Thinking about Carol, who had run away from this scene, I couldn't help but feel that she would be better off without these two. It seemed like the only way for her to find happiness. So why did you even cheat?
Carol's attitude and words were so bad. I just wanted to escape parenting.
As a parent, you wanted to run away? and leave me for your mistress? That's just the worst. What did you even see in this woman?
She's beautiful. Really beautiful.
That's it. Just that.
That's all you have. And you think you'll be happy with her for the rest of your life. She's the kind of person who wants you to abandon your child. You've completely lost sight of what's important. When I married you, I understood everything about your situation and still chose to accept and love you.
I really appreciate that.
But you took that for granted. You ignored me, dumped all the parenting onto me, and then tried to escape through an affair. Some people won't marry someone with a divorce history, and others won't marry into a stepchild situation. Isn't the person standing next to you a perfect example of that?
Shut up. All I need is Ethan.
I thought I could become a family with you and Carol, but despite everything I did, you both treated me the way you did. I reached my limit. No matter how hard I tried, you were indifferent to your family. Carol wasn't my biological child, and it was my first time raising a kid. I did my best, but it didn't reach her. My heart is broken, but at least think about what's best for your child. Please.
I can't do it. Is she coming back here? Can't she just stay gone?
Rachel's cold words made Ethan suddenly look startled. Well then, I'll be going now.
Amelia, please, one more chance.
Ethan called out to me as I turned my back, but I ignored him. I left, hoping he'd regret his actions for the rest of his life. After that, the battle during our encounter reignited my anger. I sued Ethan and Rachel for damages. In the end, Ethan couldn't abandon Carol. Rachel had asked him to choose between her and his daughter, but some shred of humanity in him made him pick Carol. However, since he never took care of his daughter while we were married, it seems he couldn't manage when it was just the two of them. Carol has run away from home and is reportedly missing. The house I once lived in with them was sold. Ethan, Rachel, and Carol lived together briefly, but Rachel eventually left, and Ethan lost both his home and his daughter. Now, I've heard rumors that Ethan lives alone in a rundown apartment in a nearby town. Then, just the other day, after a late-night work party, I saw someone who looked like Carol handing out flyers in the city while dressed to attract attention. I'm pretty sure it was her, but since I have no intention of getting involved in their future, I walked past without saying a word, feeling sorry, but unwilling to reach out. Someday, she might become a mother herself. I hope she remembers my efforts when that time comes. With that thought, I went home, leaving her behind. As for me, I recently purchased a cozy apartment for myself. I'm not planning to remarry anytime soon, but next time, I'll definitely avoid remarriage involving kids. For now, I'm enjoying the single life and waiting for the right person to come along.